Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Last video was an amazing video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But last video was all about why I hate my family. I discussed why it's ethically right for me to want to grab certain members of my family, shove a grenade down their throat, and watch as they blow up into 30 separate pieces. And so I thought it was only fitting for this video to be discussing my lovely girlfriend and how her family somehow at times makes me want to enact violence more than my family does. Yes, this video is going to be all about my girlfriend's family, and more specifically, a trip that I partaked on with my girlfriend's family to a lovely vacation destination. A place where people save up for years to go to. A place so beautiful, so amazing that it could technically be an addition to one of the 7 wonders of the world. I mean, this place is so beautiful, so elegant, so full of life and energy that when the second coming of Jesus Christ finally happens, Jesus is going to fall right from the heavens and right down to this place right here. Yes, at this point, I think you already know what I'm talking about. That's right. Me and my girlfriend and her family went to lovely San Francisco. If you can't tell already, that was obviously a bit. I mean, San Francisco is a shithole, the likes of which starving children in Africa who have to outrun lions for their food wouldn't want to live in. And that's not even a joke. I'm being dead ass serious when I say I would rather live in a hut made out of twigs and leaves and have to hunt rodents and walk 5 miles for water every single day rather than live in a 3-bedroom apartment in San Francisco. Okay, before I start going too hard on San Francisco, because believe me, I will, this video is going to be all about my latest trip I had with my girlfriend and her family to San Francisco. And not just only this trip, but how this trip made me so mad, so furious, that by the end of it, I told a random employee working at the cash register in a supermarket in a different city that I have never been to before that her children should be publicly executed. Now, to see what drove me to calling for the public execution of a random stranger's children who was working the cash register at a supermarket, we first must discuss my girlfriend's family. Now, I need to put a disclaimer out here first, because sometimes my girlfriend does happen to watch my videos, so I'd like to put a little disclaimer right here, babe, okay? Babe, I love you, okay? I do, and I want you to know that, you know, I do like certain members of your family, you know? I like your mom, I like your dad, but I apologize, but every other member of your family makes me want to go 95 through a school zone and just say, Jesus, please take the wheel. Look, babe, I'm sorry, okay? But in relationships, we're supposed to be honest with each other. We're supposed to tell each other our feelings and be truthful to each other. And in return, we're also supposed to respect the other person's feelings. I mean, I think that's what you're supposed to do, at least. I mean, that's what the therapist told my parents when they were trying to keep a relationship afloat after having a child after a one-night stand. But I do believe that that's true. And I know it didn't work out for my parents, but I believe it's true. And as such, if you're watching this, babe, I want you to take this video as a way of me expressing my feelings. And in return, I want you to respect my feelings. And my feelings are, when certain members of your family start talking to me, I have a very strong urge to get in my car, drive to a school zone going over 100 miles per hour until I inevitably and eventually crash into an innocent person's car, instantly killing me and that innocent person, just so that I don't have to hear your uncle talk about the weather for the 800th time in the past 5 minutes. Those are just my feelings, and please respect my feelings, babe, okay? Anyways, let's start at the beginning of this story. So my girlfriend one day told me that her and certain individuals of her family were going to be traveling to San Francisco and that she would like me to accompany her. And I'm sure some of you are listening to this right now and you're like, oh wow, that sounds like fun. That sounds like a very fun time. You get to go on a trip to San Francisco with your girlfriend. I mean, oh my god, that sounds like such an amazing time for you guys. But you see, if you're thinking like that right now, there's likely 2 key details that you have not taken into consideration. Number 1, I have to go with my girlfriend's family, and we'll get into that. But number 2, and more importantly, you know, it's not a trip to Hawaii or to Costa Rica or to any of these places. It's a trip to San Francisco. And yes, some of you right now may be looking at me like, oh wow, bro, you're so spoiled. You get to go to a place with your girlfriend. Be happy about it. Be thankful that you at least get to go somewhere with your girlfriend. And my response to you, if you're thinking like this, is go fuck yourself. There's a plethora of reasons why I feel this way about San Francisco and why I feel so strongly that this city is fucking shit. First off, I live in Burbank, okay? And Burbank is about an 8-hour drive from San Francisco, and normally an 8-hour drive isn't that bad, but when that 8-hour drive is to San Francisco in a car with my girlfriend and her parents, who for some reason feel the need to play the silent game and not talk to me or anyone else in the car for that matter, or not play any music or podcast or anything in the car, I expect at the end of those 8 hours to enter heaven for it to be worth it, not to enter a city with some bridges and hills. And I mean, it's just like, why are we driving 8 hours to go to San Francisco? I mean, there's plenty of places near San Francisco or the same distance as San Francisco that are 10 times nicer. For example, Big Sur. It's closer. It's one of the nicest places on the entire earth. I mean, there's Arizona. Phoenix is pretty fucking nice. I've been there multiple times. It's always fun. I always have a good time. I just don't want to go to a New England type Bridge Hill city infested with low-level, pompous, arrogant people who walk around like Jesus Christ personally gave them a blowjob 2 minutes ago. And if you live in San Francisco, I don't apologize. Go fuck yourself. I have no regrets. Your city's awful. The people in your city are awful. Vladimir Putin, if you're listening to this and you want to drop a nuclear bomb to start World War III, please drop it in the heart of San Francisco. The city would be better off in ruins there, and the people would be better off disintegrated. So anyways, my girlfriend has been getting a little mad at me for something along the lines and something she likes to call my 24/7 constant rage and the attitude and energy I put off into every other human being regardless of if I know them or not. In order to make my girlfriend happy, because you know, there are some redeemable qualities about my girlfriend, I decided that I was just going to suck it up and be a good person on this trip and not talk shit about literally everything. But that was also before I knew which members of my girlfriend's family I would have to be seen in San Francisco, because to my surprise and to what I thought was my luck, I was not going to have to be seen as many family members of my girlfriend's than I originally thought I was going to have to be. I originally anticipated to see like at least 5 or 6 of my girlfriend's family in San Francisco, but somehow I was actually only going to have to see one other member of my girlfriend's family. And when my girlfriend told me this news on the way to San Francisco, I, for 1 second in my life, for one small moment, believed in Jesus Christ. For my whole life, I have never believed in Jesus. I've always just told myself that if I could just feel his presence for one moment, if I could just feel a sign or a symbol, I in turn would become a believer and I would become a devoted Christian for the rest of my life. And when my girlfriend told me this news, I thought it was the moment that I had been waiting for my entire life. I thought this moment right here, this moment was going to change my life, and it was going to be my enlightening moment. And I mean, you know what an enlightening moment is. You know, like the first time John saw Jesus perform a miracle, or the moment Muhammad saw an angel in the cave he was meditating in, or, you know, when like Abraham was about to viciously murder his own son. And when I asked my girlfriend which family member I would be seeing, feeling so enlightened, so powerful, so at peace with the earth, she responded with, just my uncle. My uncle's the only one that we're gonna see there. And right in that moment, right after she said that, I looked up to the sky and I said, fuck you, God. And the reason why her saying this made me stop being a devout and devoted Christian is because her uncle could possibly be the biggest loser I've ever met in my entire fucking life. I mean, he is such a low-life, narcissistic fuck. I would rather have to deal with my entire girlfriend's family than just him. This man somehow is a scientist, but also somehow has the IQ of my ball sack. I mean, I'm not even going to tell you why he's such a loser. I'm just going to to tell you this story and you'll see for yourself. So after a long and agonizing car ride in which my girlfriend and her parents did not speak or play a single thing on the radio, we finally arrived in San Francisco, and the plan was that my girlfriend's uncle was going to pick us up and take us to dinner while we were in San Francisco. And so after relaxing in our hotel for approximately like 5 minutes, my girlfriend's uncle showed up to pick us up. Now, as I've said, this man is just the absolute worst. I mean, I prefer my uncle, who cannot stop talking about how aliens shoved a metal probe up his asshole over this guy, okay? At least my uncle is interesting. And this next thing that I'm about to tell you basically sums up everything you need to know about this man. Because when my girlfriend's uncle, let's call my girlfriend's uncle Hector. So when Hector came to pick us up in his car, I looked down at his license plate and noticed that he had a custom license plate. Now, I already don't understand why someone would have a custom license plate on their car. It's already just a fucking stupid idea. Like no actual human being looks at your dumb license plate that says like Star Wars Lover 65 and thinks to themselves, that person for having that license plate is probably the coolest person I've ever met in my entire life. When I see a custom license plate like that, I just think to myself that the person in that car has the IQ of my schizophrenic cousin. But you see, not only did Hector just have a custom license plate, his license plate was actually his name and his birth year. If that doesn't tell you all you need to know about this man, I'm not sure what will. His license plate literally said Hector 85, for Hector being his fucking name and 85 being his birth year, 1985. I mean, how self-centered and narcissistic do you have to possibly be to pay money to get a custom license plate that has your name and your birth year on it? Hector, bro, you're not cool. You're a fucking loser. Anyways, okay, Hector lives in San Francisco, and so he's driving us around San Francisco, and he tells us when we get in his car that he knows the absolute best place in San Francisco to eat Italian food. Now, although I had to be in a car with Hector when he talked about this Italian place, I was also pretty happy because even though Hector was the one who was going to take us to this place and he specifically chose this Italian place, I mean, you can't really mess up Italian food, you know what I mean? I literally only know how to make 3 things. I know how to make cereal, I know how to make pasta, and I know how to make sandwiches. And if I can make a fucking pasta, a brain-dead monkey can make a fucking pasta. And so I'm quite happy that we're gonna go to an Italian place, and he drives us through San Francisco to this Italian place that was pretty close by, and we get there, and this place looks pretty bougie, to say the least. This place looked like a place that I should not be allowed in, you know what I mean? And you know, I'm not the biggest fan of like fancy restaurants and stuff like that, and I honestly prefer the smooth at like smaller restaurants, even though it costs like 10 times less. Even though this place looked like a bougie fancy place, I wasn't too mad because I mean, at the end of the day, it's Italian food, and if I can make a pasta, I'm pretty sure a cook who has a 6-figure salary can boil some water and put some sauce over it. And well, I had my hopes up, but that was before I looked down at the menu, because when I looked down at the menu, I noticed something very strange and very peculiar about the menu, and that was that either the menu was not in English, or I did not understand or comprehend a single fucking thing on this menu. I swear to God, I looked down at the menu of this Italian place, and not only did I not know a single dish on the entire menu, I'm talking I didn't know a single appetizer, entree, or even a single fucking drink. I also didn't even know a single fucking ingredient in any of the dishes in the entire menu. I mean, usually when you're in an Italian place, you'll look down at the menu and you'll scroll through it, and I mean, you'll see, you know, like spaghetti or like penne with marinara or like fettuccine with Alfredo or something like that. But when I looked down at this menu, the dishes and entrees were something along the lines of or even dishes like, and it's not like the menu wasn't in English, because the menu was in English, but I mean, the menu would have been better off beef being in fucking Italian, because at least I might have been able to understand a couple words if it was in Italian. I mean, the menu looked like that one picture where everything looks vaguely similar, but at the same time, you can't identify a single thing in that picture. And after scrolling through the menu multiple times, trying to find a single word that I might be able to slightly comprehend and understand, I ultimately just gave up, looked at my girlfriend, and was like, I have no idea what is going on right now. What are you getting? And for the entire night, I promised my girlfriend that, you know, I would try to manage my 24/7 constant enragement and not unleash that enragement onto certain members of my girlfriend's family. But when I literally was only asking my girlfriend what she was going to get, Hector immediately interrupted me, grabbed me by the arm, and said, "Oh, you must get the Abdulgam Schnot. It is absolutely the divine. It is divine." What's in it, bro? Is it like a pasta? You know, like what's in it? And he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, it is filled with the finest Amnushnat from the Finland, poured with the Abugunash from the French Alps, and topped with a Schnamusnado sauce and veal." Now, out of that entire sentence, I understood maybe one word, and that one word was veal. And veal might be the most snobby and inconsiderate dish you can possibly have as a human being. If you don't know what veal is the meat of a cow, but not just any cow, the meat of a newborn baby cow or calf. Now, I'm all for the death camp style of breeding and then killing animals for our pleasure and our taste buds, but why the fuck do you have to kill a baby calf to eat it? I mean, how different can a baby cow taste from an adult cow? I mean, are you telling me that my, like, newborn cousin tastes better than me? I mean, get the fuck out of here. Why do we have to be killing a baby calf? Let that calf grow up in a 5x5 metal cage, never seen the light of sun, to eventually become a cow and be immediately massacred and put on my In-N-Out hamburger. I mean, there's just no reason to kill a baby calf. It doesn't taste any better or any different. Let the calf grow up, have a horrible, miserable life, to be murdered and then thrown onto my hamburger. And hearing the ingredients of this so-called abugnabush whatever dish, I then asked Hector if there was any other dishes with just, you know, regular beef. And Hector responded and was like, "Yes, the abunushnabsnado comes with the beef, but I do not like the beef. I only like the veal." And I mean, when Hector said that, that just set me absolutely enraged. How the fuck can you not like beef and veal? It's the same fucking shit. That's like saying you like grilled cheese but not quesadillas. It's the same shit. Go fuck yourself, Hector. And if you're someone listening to this right now and you heard that analogy and you're like, "Oh yeah, I like grilled cheese but not quesadillas," go look in the mirror. Take a nice long look at yourself in the mirror and get your fucking shit together, you dumb bitch. Anyways, Hector says this and it makes me just a little more enraged than I already was. But then the waiter comes to order our food and we all give our orders, and I order the abagubash. While I'm ordering, I put my phone on the table and Hector looks down and sees my lock screen, and he sees that I have a picture of Michael Jordan as my lock screen. Now, is it a little homosexual to have a picture of Michael Jordan as your lock screen? Yes, possibly yes. However, that was overshadowed by the fact that when Hector looked down at my lock screen, he turned to me and said, "Who is that? Who is the man on the man on the phone?" Now, I don't know if I made myself clear enough when I said that Michael Jordan was my lock screen. You know, the possibly most famous athlete of all time ever. But I've already accepted the fact that Hector has the brain capacity of a newborn child with brain disabilities, and so I tell him, and I'm like, that's Michael Jordan. And Hector looks at me and he goes, "Oh, I do not know the Michael Jordan. Who is the Michael Jordan?" And I mean, I was so flabbergasted and just completely in shock. I just repeated it and I was just like, Michael Jordan, you know, the basketball player. I already thought him not knowing who Michael Jordan was bad enough, but then Hector continued to double down and say something that made me so enraged. so mad that it led to me almost murdering a store clerk's child. Hector continued to add on to him saying that, oh, I do not know who the Michael Jordan is, by saying, oh, no. I am the scientist. I work with the bacteria. I am trying to find a cure for the hepatitis. I'm trying to find how bacteria works with certain medicines and solutions. I do not have time to watch a silly game like basketball or some shit like that. People who really watch the basketball are so stupid and dumb. It's just a ball going through a hoop. I'm not sure why anyone would be interested in that, especially when me and my colleagues are doing so much good work in the bacteria to stop the hepatitis and the syphilis. People should be so much more interested in doing things like this. If you didn't understand what Hector just told me because of the half French, Spanish, and Middle Eastern accent that I give to Hector, basically what he just said is that Hector is a scientist. That's his job. What he does for a living is he's a scientist, and he's working with bacteria to cure certain diseases like hepatitis, and people who watch sports in their free time are stupid, and people should in their free time research about bacteria and hepatitis. Now here's the thing, Hector, okay? Good for you, man. Good for you. You know, you're trying to solve the cure for cancer and hepatitis and all these other diseases and things, but the problem with all of that is Hector, no one fucking cares, Hector. Nobody gives a shit about the cure for cancer. Nobody cares about the cure for hepatitis. Nobody gives a shit about your little bacteria, Hector. People want to see LeBron James hit the same jump shot for the 500th time. People want to see Will Smith slap the shit out of Chris Rock. People want to see Vladimir Putin drop a nuclear bomb on some unknown and unimportant country. No one gives a fuck about the cure for cancer, Hector. No one cares about your little bacteria. I guarantee you, if you ask most Americans what they care about more, either the cure for hepatitis or Will Smith slapping the shit out of Chris Rock because Will Smith's wife looks like he who shall not be named, unanimously, Americans are going to say that they care more about two rich celebrities that they will never meet or ever see in their lives slapping each other at an event where we award movies that no one has ever seen or heard about. I mean, let's be honest here. Have you ever once in your entire life thought about getting the solution for hepatitis? On top of that, have you ever even heard of the movie Coda? No, you haven't, but that doesn't matter. We want to see Will Smith slap Chris Rock. We want to see Vladimir Putin drop a nuclear bomb. We want to see LeBron James dunk the ball for the 500th time in the last 5 years. Nobody gives a shit about the cure for hepatitis. And so when Hector says, oh my god, the bacteria is so interesting, I do not know why people would like to watch the basketball when they could learn about the bacteria, that makes my blood boil. And just when I'm about to unleash on Hector, and just when I'm about to tell him that he can go shove his bacteria up his fucking asshole, my girlfriend kicks me and the food arrives. And then after my girlfriend kicked me pretty much extremely hard, I realized and remembered that I had promised my girlfriend not to unleash my inner rage and demons on certain members of her family, and so I controlled myself and thought that this pasta would be able to, you know, calm me down, you know what I mean? But when I looked down at my pasta, not only was it the size of my right nut is smaller than my left one is considerably bigger than my right one, but it also looked like a baby had eaten SpaghettiOs and then regurgitated those SpaghettiOs into a small bowl for a child, and not only did it look like a baby's regurgitated SpaghettiOs, but it also tasted like a baby's regurgitated SpaghettiOs. And so I thought the Italian food would make me more calm, but instead it just made me want to strangle Hector more and more. And as I was completely enraged and fuming with anger, the cherry came to the top. And Hector did something that really just threw me off of the edge, because when the check finally came, Hector looked down at the check and then looked at my girlfriend's dad and said, can you please pay for it, please? We're working with the bacteria. The field is a very noble job, but you do not get the paid that much. You do not get. It's honestly a very shame that these basketball players like Michael Jordan and get paid so much money for just putting a ball in the hoop when when I am actually making the changes in the world and getting paid basically like nothing. And there's two reasons why this really pisses me off, aside from the fact that it sounds like he has a cock in his mouth every time that he speaks. Number one, because you're lucky you're getting paid at all to find cures for meaningless things like cancer and hepatitis, but number two, because when I looked down at the check and I saw the price, it really shocked me. You know, usually you would expect a dinner for 4 people to come out somewhere near the price range of like $80 to $120, but this dinner didn't come up to that. This dinner didn't even come up to $200. In fact, this dinner didn't even come up to $300. This dinner came out to $400 to eat a fucking baby's regurgitated SpaghettiOs. I mean, I was wondering why there was no prices on the menu, but apparently each dish costed $100 fucking dollars. And it's not like Hector didn't know this. Hector knew about this and still took us to this place knowing that he wasn't going to pay for it because he works with the bacteria and he does not get paid. The bacteria does not pay him very well. And at this point, I was so enraged, so mad that I looked at Hector and I began to physically start shaking. And knowing that I was about to blow up, I looked at my girlfriend and said, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I'm going to kill this man right here, right at this restaurant. I'm going to grab that butter knife and I'm going to stick it down his trachea. And so in hearing this, me and my girlfriend thought that it would be a better idea to have me walk back to the hotel in order for me to cool off. And so I left the restaurant and I started walking back to the hotel. And you know when you're so mad that you start like saying stuff that is completely inaudible, like you're physically shaking and you're saying stuff like that was what I was like. I was literally walking down the street like a drunk homeless man saying completely inaudible things. I mean, I was walking through the streets of San Francisco and I saw this mother and her children, you know, walking on the same side of the street towards me. And when they saw me, what looked like to be a white teenager convulsing like he was going to, you know, kill someone. And when the mother saw me on the same side of the street as her, she immediately picked up her kids and ran to the other side of the street like I was some clinically insane homeless man. To be fair to her, it did look like I was some clinically insane homeless man. And so I'm walking down the streets and I get to a grocery store and I decide that it would be best for me to go inside and get a drink to help me cool off a bit. And no, not alcohol. I'm not my father. I'm talking about like a soda or something. And you know, at this point, I'm so enraged that I go into the supermarket and I grab like a Coke or something or some kind of soda, and I'm checking out at the self-checkout aisle because I don't want to have to deal with any more people so I won't accidentally commit manslaughter. But now I want you to keep this in mind. All I have in my hands is a bottle of Coke that I had already started drinking while I was checking out of the store. And so I'm doing the self-checkout thing, trying to pay for this Coke, and I'm just excited to leave this store. But then all of a sudden, as I was about to put my credit card into the self-checkout thing, one of the store clerks sees that I only have a bottle of half-drinking Coke, and thinks that it's a good idea to come up to me and say, excuse me, sir, would you like a bag with that item? And it wasn't like this woman didn't see that I only had one item, because she came up to me and she specifically said, would you like a bag for your item? Not items. Item. And at this point, I am so enraged, so mad that when this woman asked me if I wanted a bag for my already half-drinking Coke, that was the final straw for me. And look, okay, I understand she was probably just trying to be helpful and courteous and do her job, but here's the thing, okay? The idea that I would want a bag to put my half-drinking Coke in is absolutely absurd. The idea that I would want a bag to carry an item in which I can already carry with one hand is absolutely absurd. And so when this woman came up to me and said, excuse me, sir, would you like a bag with that item? I lost all control of my body. I looked at her and for some reason I felt the need to say, your children are not safe. Hide them. And then I paid for my Coke and walked out of the store. I'm not sure entirely why I said those words or what really caused me to say those words other than the fact that I was completely enraged, but I just want you to imagine for a second being that store clerk. Imagine just doing your job like you normally do it. I mean, you probably have gone up to countless number of people's that day alone and asked them if they wanted a bag with their purchase, and usually, you know, they either just say yes please or no thank you. But one of the times when you go up to this 19-year-old scrawny teenager just to be courteous and ask him if he wants a bag, because, you know, it's your job to ask everyone if they want a bag, this scrawny 19-year-old white teenager, instead of saying either no thank you or yes please, looks at you with eyes full of rage and anger and says to you, quote, "Your children are not safe. Hide them," and then proceeds to leave and walk out of the store, never to be seen by you ever again. I mean, how would you react? How would you react to a random stranger for no reason, all because you just asked him if he wanted a bag with his item, told you that your, quote, "children are not safe and that you should hide them"? I mean, I'm not even sure if this woman has children. I mean, how amazing would it be if she had no children and I just went up to her and said that? To be honest, I'm not quite sure how I would react, and I would not be surprised if that woman needs therapy for the rest of her life after that encounter. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, and if you take one thing away from this story, please take this. Please take the moral of this story. And the moral of this story is, if you ever at some point in your life feel that, you know, you don't like your girlfriend's uncle or anyone in her family for that matter, it is completely okay and completely fine for you to go up to a random store clerk who asked you if you wanted a bag with your order and threaten the lives of her children. Your children are not safe. You want to see Vladimir Putin drop a nuclear bomb, accidentally commit manslaughter? Right now, it's smaller than my left. The Michael Jordan? Fuck you, God.